with James a little bit about Central Spirit, and James, just tell the listeners about what you guys do here at Clemson, and what you enjoy about Central Spirit.
All right, well, thank you guys for having me. Central Spirit is the premier student supporting group for Clemson athletics. So we obviously do a lot for the big teams on campus, such as football, basketball, and baseball, obviously. But we try to do our best to make sure all student athletes are supported. We want to make sure that they know that they have a backing, that we're going to be there, and that we're going to recognize them for everything that they do, such as women's basketball, volleyball, soccer teams, track, tennis, whoever it may be. We always try to do our best to honor the seniors, try to welcome the freshmen when they arrive, welcome transfer students, have a good relationship with the coach, and basically we just do our best to be rowdy and make sure that it's always a good home court advantage for the home team.
Well, before we get into it, I just want to say, if you've watched a Clemson basketball game on TV, James is the person in the number 2 basketball jersey and the orange wig every game. I can say that without a doubt. If you've seen that, that's James right there. So
yeah, I'm crazy. I'm sorry, y'all.
Oh, no, not as bad as me. I don't know. It might be a tight race up there for crazy.
So Michael and James they should have gotten a plaque at senior day. We didn't have any seniors. They should have got Fan of the Year award.
I actually got to accept.
Did you?
No. Central Spirit last fall, we got announced as Volleyball Fans of the Year, and
right.
everybody in our leadership agreed that I should go up and pick the plaque up. So I count that as my senior day recognition.
There you go. But yeah, just talk a little bit about how many members you guys have, and you obviously you have blocks at most of the sporting events.
Oh yeah, we get really good. We get a really good setup for football. We have seating right at the bottom of the student section. It's directly to the right off the hill. If you're standing at the front of the hill and looking toward it, we sit off to the side. We usually, for just about every game, have people painted up. Our block is the only one that does not rotate. We always sit at the very front. We always get really good TV time. For basketball, we are always right behind the riser seats next to the Clemson bench. We have the first few rows there. Baseball, we get infield seating. And those are the 3 sports really that have block seating. But we get really good. For football, we also get 20 field passes because we are the people who run the flags across the field, and we also blow up the balloons that get released when the football players run down the hill before every game. So we get recognized by the athletic department for everything that we do. So that's a really fun part of being at Central Spirit. You always get good seats.
Right, and talk a little bit about the balloon tradition. Obviously, you've been doing it here for 4 years, but do you go 3 or 4 hours before the game and blow them up and set them up, or how does that work?
We get in there the earliest time that they will allow people that they would allow us in the stadium prior to the game. So we get there 4 hours before the game. So if it's a noon kickoff, we're there at 8 o'clock in the morning blowing up those balloons. So it's I always found it to be really fun because it's something that every fan looks forward to. Obviously it might not be fun on a Saturday after a week of classes or something like that to get up really early and get to campus if you live off campus or walk all the way to Death Valley. But I always looked at it as, that's something that everybody's going to be looking forward to. You're carrying on a big Clemson tradition. And, you get to walk down onto the field prior to the game, take pictures, rub Howard's rock. And it's just a blast. The first time I did it, I was actually kind of sad to see him go away because I was like, oh, I just did that for 2 hours, and now it just floats away.
No, that's great, though. And just talk, it really is, though. I mean, you think about the balloons. I mean, all the pictures you saw done of the Georgia game, and that was one of the biggest games of the year. It had the balloons in it, and, it's what fans identify with. But just talk just talk a little bit about why it's important to you going to athletic events and just what it means. I always think it's kind of neat, that we're fortunate enough to get to go to these things, and it's so important to support these guys.
Absolutely, because student athletes have a really really difficult life as a student athlete because a lot of people think that they play football, they play basketball, they must have it really good. But to be honest, it's really not easy because more times than not, you have to be at practice before sunrise, and then you have required study time in Vickery Hall, and obviously then there's practice, conditioning, travel. It's not easy, so we try to do our best to make sure that when they're here, that they're being recognized for all their hard work. And a lot of teams, the volleyball team has always told us how much they appreciate us. Women's basketball, they really appreciate it because women's basketball here is a bit of a tough sell, but I'm looking forward to what they're going to do in the next few years with Audra Smiths. You got a great recruiting class coming in. A lot of players ranked in the top, several ranked in the top 25 in their position nationally. So it could be fun to watch women's basketball last year. So you saw the turnaround that men's had this year. Who knows what women's could do too?
And talk a little bit about some of the major events you guys have, like First Friday and Homecoming. Well, what kind of work does that take to get set up, and what do you guys do for those?
Well, we basically run First Friday, we run Homecoming, and those, once they end it one year, we start planning it the next. So it's a year-long process. It's difficult. We don't get to pick the theme for Homecoming, but Blue Key selects that, but we always try to do our best to work with them on that. We picked the theme for First Friday. I don't think we have one picked for next year yet, but they should soon. First Friday, we are in charge of making sure everybody is lined up properly, making sure that that Old Greenville Highway is patrolled, make sure that nobody is in any danger during the parade, and just trying to do our best after the game to shovel everybody to historic Riggs Field to go watch the soccer game, which is always really, really fun. And that's always an exciting sight because men's soccer, or soccer in general for both teams, is kind of difficult to sell as well. So it's fun to see Riggs get filled up. And it's fun in there when it gets filled, and that just really caps off a really rewarding day. All the work that goes into that. And Homecoming, we basically do a similar thing. We sell T-shirts for both of them. Forgot to mention that for First Friday, but then we also patrol everything, make sure that everybody's safe, following OSHA requirements, make sure that nobody falls off scaffolding and hurts themselves. And so we try to make sure everybody's safe, and that it's just again, that's another thing that everybody looks forward to, and we really just want to make sure that tradition and expectation that alumni and other fans have is upheld every year, and make sure it's a fun event for them.
Yeah, First Friday, I didn't realize how big it was until this year, because last year living on campus, I just walked over from my dorm,
Right.
quarter of a mile maybe, watched the parade and was able to walk home. But this year, had to take the bus afterwards, and I waited at that bus stop for 2 hours for the bus to get through through traffic and then get home. And so I didn't realize how big it was. But First Friday, really a fun event with the parade,
really
and looking forward to the football game and everything. That's just a great day.
Family atmosphere. A lot of bring their kids, and then alumni come back.
Yeah.
Then you have a bunch of the fraternities and sororities get involved, the teams, the clubs. I mean, it's a Friday. I guess it's at 5, but before that football game, Clemson pretty much stops and everybody's there. So no, it really is unique. But just talk a little bit about. You've been here for 4 years, been through a couple, been through some pretty good years of being a Clemson football fan, and but a couple, rough patch there, obviously with Bowden and the transition to Dabo. But talk a little bit about, I'll explain to listeners the Georgia game. How loud was it? You were on the field carrying the flag. Just tell the listeners how loud it was and what kind of atmosphere that was, and then give us some of your other favorite memories of just Death Valley, I guess.
Georgia game undoubtedly was a special game for all of us. My dad went to the University of Georgia. It was the first time that I was a student, because I was born and raised in New Jersey. So that was the first time he ever came to watch a game while I was a student here. So that was really exciting. And my brother went to Clemson as well. And my mom came as well. So it was a really fun weekend for all of us. But I had never heard the stadium that loud from when I was down on the field. Never before had I ever actually felt the ground itself shake. I had been sitting up in the games prior. I had sat in the stands, and I had felt the stands, and then obviously you can feel the structure shaking, but never had I actually felt the ground shaking. So that was just tremendous. And when we all charged on the field after the game, it was that I was out of breath at the end of that, but that was unbelievable.
That was a long weekend. I think I was up for 55 hours straight,
good.
but no regrets.
Yeah. No
Absolutely no regrets. And that game was.
And if we can do it again next year, then that'll keep them quiet for the next 25 years until we play them again.
But he said about the noise. I remember that the South Carolina game was really loud at the beginning, and it just kind of died off a little bit. But that Georgia game, it never stopped. But
it never did.
I met James at a volleyball game. That was where I met him. I just decided, I'm going to go check out the Clemson volleyball team, see what's up over there. And
Right.
there he was with his orange wig, he was screaming and yelling at the whole game, and I was, you know what, I should be friends with this, because this is what I was like in high school, this is what I want to be like in college, so that's where I met James, and so that just gives kind of a testimony as to how big of a fan he is. But James, where's volleyball on your list? I think you said it was pretty high. It was up there, right?
Oh, volleyball. Volleyball is very special to me. Probably no team that I had known so personally as the volleyball team. It was always difficult to see them come and go, but it was really fun. I think that was against what was it, the Slovenian junior team?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
a national team.
It was an exhibition game, but that was really fun. And then just yelling at the refs, getting rowdy, and that volleyball is just a really fun, intimate atmosphere. You're right on top of the court. The players always come over and sing the alma mater right in front of us. They're just special. That's a fun place to go watch a game.
Right. Well, we'll get back. We've got James a little bit. James, talk a little bit about your favorite memories, like we were talking about earlier, football-wise.
Well, when I was a freshman in 2010, there were no really good football memories that year. 6-7, losing to South Florida in the Car Care Bowl. Yeah, there wasn't many fun memories that year. But no disrespect to that team. They worked very, very hard. But unfortunately, not the greatest of years. But my sophomore year, definitely two of the greatest memories were when Auburn came in after winning a national championship. I was a little upset that Cam Newton went to the draft because I kind of wanted to see him play. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. But nonetheless, when Cody Sensabaugh picked off Barrett Trotter with about 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, that was I was talking earlier about how loud Lil Jon was. That was the loudest I had ever heard anywhere. That was I listened to the radio broadcast after the game. You couldn't even hear the radio announcers. It was so loud. And then, but probably that season, my favorite memory was the next game against Florida State when Rennie Moore sacked Clint Trickett. So when we won the first 4 home games, and when everybody said that we couldn't beat Auburn and Florida State 2 weeks in a row, that was really just a moment where we all saw, this team's for real. They have what it takes. And then that year we went and won an ACC championship.
Right.
So those were two of my favorites.
Well, I remember that year. I remember people telling me about those Florida State and Auburn games because the 2 games before that, Troy and Wofford, kind of warm-up games, and the Tigers struggled. I think in that Wofford game,
they only lost by a touchdown.
They were losing at halftime, I believe. I left early to go home. I had to go home, and I was having some people over that night, and we were losing when I left the game, and my car broke down, and I was in a tow truck.
Even worse.
Yeah, I was in a tow truck, and the guy asked me, so did Clemson win today? And I said, I don't know. I honestly don't know if Clemson beat Wofford, and then to come out the next 2 weeks and beat Florida State and Auburn, the defending champions, and then your ACC rival, that's pretty incredible.
That was an amazing moment. And then it was really fun. That year was fun because when everybody said we weren't going to beat all those teams, we beat them. Because I remember before the ACC championship game, we went into that terrible slide where we just couldn't. Everybody just seemed to break the code on how to stop the offense and. Whatever else may have been going on, because I remember Taj Boyd gained a little bit of weight. People then finally realized if you stop Sammy Watkins, they'll kind of slow us down a little bit. But then, when Lou Holtz said that Virginia Tech was going to blow us out.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a little out of his prime.
How'd that work out for you, Lou?
Where did he coach last?
Yeah, with the team we don't talk about.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
But yeah, the 4 years here have been so memorable. Last year, beating LSU in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, another game, 83% of the country polled picked LSU to win that game.
And who is the real Death Valley after that?
Oh yeah, it was funny how ESPN kept talking about this game's going to decide who has the real Death Valley.
No, that didn't have anything to do with that game. It's decided 50, 60 years ago.
Well, that was just what they they kind of titled it as the Battle of Death Valleys. And then once we won, they stopped talking about
No,
that.
No. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I just find that really funny. But then this last year, Georgia, that whole game just in general was amazing. But when Todd Gurley ran that first play from scrimmage after we scored all the way down, I got really nervous. But then Sammy ran the next play we had from scrimmage right back. So I realized
it was a great game. It was a great football game.
That was incredible.
Great football game.
Back and forth. No team was ever out of it. The fans were really into it. And we were the first team ever to beat 2 top 10 SEC teams in a row, back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. That was a special game.
No,
That
yeah.
whole weekend was just amazing. Staying at a friend's place, staying up all night, making our sign for game day,
Right.
getting out there 6 hours before the game day show started, standing on the front row in the
Love it.
sweltering heat. It was miserable at the time, but
worth
looking
it.
back, I would not trade that
Yeah, no.
for anything.
Oh, no,
Anything.
everything. That whole weekend in general, with First Friday, College
Yeah.
Game Day being there, just all the hype getting up to the, because I had never seen a better job of hype being built by the Clemson.
Absolutely.
And a lot of
All
people,
summer long.
it was the opposite of Florida State because people started picking Clemson because they saw it. But going into Georgia, not many people had Clemson winning that game, even with the home field advantage. Not many people. It was the thing about, the two running backs Georgia had, and the ACC not playing anybody, and just a list of reasons.
Well, the build up to that game, I mean, College Football Live coming up here during the summer and doing a show from the West End Zone. And
that's right.
Just since the last kick in the Chick-fil-A bowl game, everyone was looking forward to it. Just an entire summer of hype. I don't know if any game can really.
Right.
I was talking about
year
it.
It'll be a
can really
big
go
game.
can really have that hype going into it again, because that was just.
Right.
I mean, people were looking forward to that.
Well, because you usually don't have that good of week one matchups. I mean, it's usually like
Prime time on
Georgia
ESPN
and Georgia Southern, or Clemson and Furman. It's usually not that kind of matchup. But it should be a good one next year. I really enjoy that rivalry. Hope they can find a way to maybe not let it go another 10 years before we play them again. I think you will see it more. You will see Clemson start to schedule a lot, SEC teams at least. I think you'll have 2 a year with South Carolina and another one, or some other big-time opponent, because you're not going to get in the playoff if you don't have a tougher schedule. And I think Louisville will raise the play of the ACC as well in terms of football.
Well, and the Notre Dame playing
Notre
5
Dame,
games
that's
against
right.
the
That's right. Yeah,
ACC.
play them in 2015.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see. But, James, thanks for sharing all that. We appreciate it. And, you got. Well, how can people get involved with Central Spirit? Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, definitely. Right now, it's a little too late to join for this semester.
Right.
But next semester,
semester.
whether you're a current Clemson student or if you're planning on enrolling in Clemson next year, we will probably be at all the orientation sessions this year. We have a table set up, and we give you a discount if you pay dues. Then dues for a new member are $20, and you get, to me, it's worth $20. It's amazing. You get early access to the stadium. You get to go blow up the balloons. You get to be in First Friday, all that fun stuff. And if you don't get a chance to do that, come to one of our meetings in Daniel Hall. We meet in the auditorium, room number 100, every Sunday night at 7 p.m. And we always welcome new members. We love having them. We love getting everybody involved, supporting the Tigers. And if you ever have any questions, you can find us on centralspirit.net and on Twitter at centralspiritcu.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for that, James. I think